Hey, hi everyone. So in this video, we'll be looking into the stack and heap memory in JavaScript. So how we'll look into how actually JavaScript manages the memory. So usually in the older languages like C and C++ and everything, so you get the system of like handling the memories, right? But in the modern languages, you don't actually get the full control of the memory management. So in JavaScript, you don't actually get the like the system of managing the memory, right? So we'll look into it, how actually JavaScript does it. Not in very detail, but I'll give you the gist of everything. So it will be simple for you to understand. So usually in the JavaScript, if you look, then there are two types of memories, right? I mean, two types of data types, right? So what are they? Like the primitive and non-primitive, right? And non-primitive. So in the primitive data types, we actually include the strings and all, string number, boolean, and then undefined, right? Right. These are the things like in the non-primitive. There are I think a few more in the primitive, but in non-primitive, we actually categorize the arrays and objects, right? So we'll understand with the example, but I'll give you a, a simple idea. So this one I'll tell it as a stack memory. Okay, this one is a stack memory. But let me drag down so that this one is the stack, and this one I will tell as the heap memory, right? Heap memory. We'll visualize it. So let's say let var one variable variable one equal to let's say my name, right? And then maybe let variable two as let's say variable one, right? So if we console the variable one and variable two, and if we tell that index dot oh shit index.js, so we'll get the same results, right? So what's happening is that here here the first of all the variable one was declared, right? Pardon my drawing. I'm actually choosing my mouse pad. So yeah, so variable two, if you look, variable two is here, right? So what happens is like whenever we are like we are basically pointing this variable two to the variable one value, right? So it's basically it's the copy, right? So let's say I'll show you one example. Let's say x equal to let's say now what I will do is change the variable 2 equal to um, Shubham new, right? Now, if you look into it, you'll see, okay, I got variable. This one is the variable. Okay, I console two times only. My bad. So I will console the variable one and variable two. So if you look, then variable one is still Shubham, right? But the thing is, if you look into it, but it should change, right? The because the variable one value is Shubham. Now variable two, it's actually pointing to variable one. Now if I change the variable two value, then it should change the variable one, right? But that's not what is I mean happening, right? So the variable one is the same, but the variable two it actually changed. So what's happening is like when we again change this, it's actually copying. It's actually copying and it is changing that copied value, right? It's not pointing to the to the variable one now, right? So there's actually an example of the stack, like the stack memory management. right? So for the primitive data types, JavaScript, this is how the JavaScript is handling the memories. So whenever you point a variable, a new variable to the old variable, it's actually not pointing to the original value. It's actually pointing to the copied version of the variable one, correct? So this is how it's managing the primitive, like the heap memory. Why we call it it's a why we call it as a stack memory? Sorry, this is a stack memory, right? So how it is actually the stack memory? Because one by one, we are just stacking the values, like the copied values. So now if I change the third time, so it's actually taking the copied version of the second one, right? So now this is clear, right? But the thing is, so let's say variable one, now I will change it to one object, correct? We'll go to the heap memory example. So let's say username is Shubham, correct? Now variable one I have changed. Okay, variable two, now I'm pointing to variable one. Now what I will do variable two dot username equal to Shubham new. Now what will happen? Now variable one is like variable one only. Now variable 2 is pointing to the variable 1. I have changed the variable 2. Now what will happen? Let's see. So you'll see that it's actually changing the both values, right? So variable 1 is also changed and variable 2 is also changed, correct? So if you see from our example, so variable 1, I have, let's say, this one, let's say, variable 2 is this one. This is my object, right? So what's happening? Variable 1 is actually pointing to this heap, and my variable 2 as well, it's pointing to the same object, right? So whenever we are changing this username, let's say the variable 1, because it's a non-primitive data type which follows the heap memory management. So if we point it to the variable 1, the previous variable, and we change that any of the key, so it will actually change the real object, right? So we have the concept of shallow and deep copy, right? So you can look into it. I think I have made a video as well on that. So you can just check it out. And you'll get the more clarity about that, right? The shallow and deep copy. It's related to the objects only. This thing only. But yeah, this is how actually the JavaScript is managing its memory. So stack and heap memory. Hope it's clear. You can actually go into details. But yeah, that's all for it. Thanks.